Hi, my name is Dana Brown, and today we're going to work through the Xojo Desktop tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to build a simple task manager application. Since it's a desktop app, go ahead and select Desktop, and you can enter an application name. So for the purpose of this project, we're going to call it Task Manager and press OK. Xojo opens the workspace with the default window for your app selected in the navigator and displayed in the layout editor. On the right, you'll see the library that has all of the controls. For this project, we're going to use the list box. So click on the list box and drag it to the top left corner of the layout editor. As you get close to the edges, you'll see the alignment indicators help you position the control. Now let's resize the list box to fill the top 2/3 of the window. Our Task Manager app is going to need 3 buttons. The delete button removes the tasks from the list box, the add button adds them, and the complete button marks them as completed. So find the generic button and drag it to the window below the lower right corner of the list box. Get another button and drag it to the lower right corner of the window. And then finally, a third button will be positioned on the lower left side of the window. And as always, use the alignment guides to help you position it in the correct place. And to go in the middle of all of these perfectly positioned buttons, we're going to add a text field. So get your text field from the library and drag it in between the buttons. If you find your buttons aren't perfectly positioned, you can always make adjustments to your layout just by dragging them and using the alignment guides again. Resize the text field so it's the same width as your list box. Make any adjustments you need to the sizes of your controls, and your final layout should look like this. Now let's adjust our properties so we can start bringing this thing to life. First, click on the window to select it. Make sure that you're in the inspector and not the library. In the name field, change the name from Window 1 to Task Manager Window. And in the title field, change the name from Untitled to Task Manager. In the Layout Editor, click on the list box to select it. In the name field, change the name from Listbox 1 to Task List. The list box will have a heading. Find the Has Header property and change the value from off to on. The list box has 2 columns, one to show completed and the other to show the name of the task. Change the value in the column count field from 1 to 2. You want to change the column headers to describe the data in the list. Find the initial value property and click on the pencil icon to the right. This will open a small editor window where you can enter column heading values. Type completed and then press the Tab key and type task. Change the column widths field and enter the value of 100, asterisk, or star. Press return to see the column widths change. Using 100 tells the list box that the first column should always be 100 pixel wide and that the rest of the columns will share the available width. Change the locking so that all of the locks are locked. Now it's time for the buttons. Select the delete button and in the name field, change the name from push button 1 to delete button. In the caption field, change the name from button to delete. And also, don't forget to make changes to the locking so that the delete button stays to the right side of the window when it resizes. Click the lock so that right and bottom are locked and the top and left are unlocked. Next, select the Add button and change the name from Push Button 2 to Add button. In the caption field, change the name from Button to Add. Lastly, we'll need to change the locking so that the locks on the left and on the bottom are locked and the top and the right are unlocked. The Complete button is used to mark tasks as completed. Click on the Complete button to select it and change the name to Complete Button. In the caption field, change the name from Button to Complete. Now make changes to the locking. Click the lock so that the right and bottom are locked and the top and left are unlocked. In the project list, the newly renamed controls show under the Controls for Task Manager window. The text field is where your user will type the task to add it to the list, so we need to change just a few properties here. Click on the text field to select it. The inspector now shows the properties for the text field. Change the name to Task Field. Click the lock so that the left, bottom, and right are locked and the top is unlocked. After adjusting all the properties for the window and its controls, your layout should look like this. Your user interface is now complete, so it's time to try it out, but before you go further, you should save your work. Press the Build buttons to compile your app so we can see what it's looking like already. Of course, the Task Manager doesn't do anything yet. For that, we're going to need to add some code, which is what we're going to do next. The Add button adds tasks to the list. The code you add to the button needs to take what was typed in Task Field and add it as a new row to the list. On the window, double-click the Add button control labeled Add. The Add Event Handler window appears. When a button is pressed, the pressed event handler is called, so you want to add your code to the pressed event handler. Select Press and press OK. Now add some code to make this button work. You can either copy and paste it from the tutorial or type it in, and if you press Tab, you can use autocomplete to find what you're looking for. To actually add a row to a list box, you use the Add Row method. Add Row is one of many methods available to list boxes, and it adds values to the two columns in the task list. The first column contains the completed status, so it is initially set to blank. The second column contains the name of the task. Now save and build the app so we can see how it works, and add some tasks to the task field to see them appear in the list. Okay, let's go back into Xojo and work on the Complete button. When the user presses the Complete button, the selected task in the list box should be marked as completed with a check mark. On the window, double-click the Complete button control labeled Complete. The Add Event Handler appears and select Pressed. It's time to enter some code. To set the value in a particular cell of the list box, we'll use the cell property specifying the row and column. This code puts a checkmark character in the column 0, the completed column, of the currently selected row. Just select and copy the checkmark from this tutorial. Now let's save and run our app to see how the completed column works. When it launches, enter some tasks and press Add. Then select the task and press the Complete button to see the check mark appear. Let's go back to Xojo because we have one more button to add some code for. Double-click the Delete button. Once again, we're going to select the Pressed Event Handler. Now we're going to add some code. Use the listbox method removeRowAt to remove a row from the list box. You pass removeRowAt the row number to remove as a parameter, so your code will look like this. Now let's save and run our app again to see how the delete button works. Enter some tasks in the task field. Now mark some as completed and select some and press the delete button and make sure it's removed from the task list. Well, now our application is complete. You've built an application that manages tasks. In the task list, you can add tasks, you can mark them as completed, and you can also delete tasks. There's several more steps you can do to enhance your app if you keep going in this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below.